I think we're live.
Edgar's going to come with heavy duty energy tonight. He's so into this tonight.
Dude, I logged on. I was like, holy fuck, I didn't even set anything up. I didn't, and like nothing, no link, no nothing, no thumbnail, not a
So
fucking thing.
Edgar is suffering from a severe case of vaginitis.
Vaginitis.
Do you know what triggered this? This
Nah,
spell?
like all good doctors. I went to the ER on Tuesday. And I gave them my symptoms, and they diagnosed me with what I already knew I had. Legit, the diagnosis is dizzy. Like, yeah, I could have fucking told you that.
That'll be $12,000.
That'll be $12,000, please. So they don't know. I went to the doctor today, and she's leaning more towards just inflammation in the ear, and that's probably what's causing it. So they got me on some meds.
Are the meds helping at all?
I haven't taken it. I haven't taken it. It's a steroid, so I don't want to take it during this thing that we're doing right now because I didn't know how I was going to react to it.
Yeah.
So here we are.
I took steroids once. It was awesome. I would totally do that again. I had, I think it was when I had mono and had this pretty severe reaction to the mono.
Yeah.
And yeah, they gave me steroids. It felt like speed to me. So
I'm kind of already on them. So I don't think they're going to do much because I take this thing. Which way? Well, that thing right there. And that's got steroids in it.
Is that a nebulizer?
It's an inhaler.
Oh, inhaler. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to the medical podcast, Guns for Everyone National, GFE National.
Oh, that's not even half of it. Part of the reason that was only part of the reason why I went to the doctor today.
Are you pregnant?
I'm pregnant. I'm super pregnant. I'm so pregnant. No, the other shit I'll talk about if I do end up having the bad thing. I'll probably talk about it then. So
you better not be talking about cancer because I can't do this by myself.
You may have to do it by yourself. No, it's a tiny chance. It's a super duper tiny chance. I got an ultrasound coming up, but
okay,
yeah, it's mostly just to rule it out.
Okay. All right. Well, if I happen to find myself praying, I'll pray for myself that I don't have to do this alone. Dear God, please take this away from me. What is new in the world of self-defense shootings? I haven't been watching the news. Did anything happen?
Nothing. There's nobody's talking about any self-defense shootings at all. At all. I've seen the video circulate. I don't even know if we need to talk about it if you did want to talk about it. But
well, the only thing I wanted to talk about was how little science is part of this discussion. It seems like you have a predetermined political viewpoint, and it colors your entire perception of the events that took place.
Correct.
So for those of you who don't know, or if, for whatever reason you might listen to this in the future when this shooting has left the media cycle, we're talking about the ICE shooting in Minnesota. Was it yesterday? It feels like a lifetime ago.
Dude, 2026 has already been a shit show.
I think it was yesterday, January 7th. And an ICE officer was standing in a not a very smart place, and a vehicle drove in his direction and he shot and killed the driver. And I really don't have any I don't have any political comment on this, mostly because I'm really on both sides of this. So I don't have anything to say about whether he should have been there or should not have been in there, whether the driver should have done what she did or shouldn't have done. But there's a lot of discussion going on about, was this murder? Was this self-defense? Was
Yeah.
this lawful use of force? And there there's some good video, there's some not great video, but the good video definitely illustrates how quickly things happen.
Yeah.
And and the only people whose decisions matter in that moment are the people who are involved. A lot of people are busy saying what they would have done or what they should have done, and if you weren't in the driver's seat and if you weren't holding the gun, like, you have no idea what their brains were processing in that moment.
Correct.
And we're never going to know. Even the person who did the shooting probably couldn't tell you exactly what his brain was processing in
Correct.
that moment. But bad things happen real fast, and when conflict happens, it can get real dangerous real fast, especially when there's weapons involved, when there's guns, cars, things like that. So, but yeah, I mean, it's just a lot of bad analysis going on, and not a lot of people paying attention to the science of it.
Well, I think to your point, that's the biggest issue is there there is absolutely no um actual thought behind it. It's just I'm a Republican, so I'm going to say the Republican thing. I'm a Democrat, so I'm going to say the Democrat thing.
Mm-hmm.
This shit gets old, man. Like
Yeah.
if you live kind of where we're at, it shit gets old because just like I already know what the fuck you're gonna say. Like I don't even need to scroll,
Mm-hmm.
and there's no truth in I believe this because I'm a Republican or I believe this because I'm a Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
Shit's retarded.
Yeah.
It's super fucking dumb. There is value in having a real debate on whether it was appropriate for real reasons, not for political reasons.
Yeah.
Um, it's dumb. It's
Well,
super dumb.
that person who was shot, that woman who was shot, no matter what she thinks or believes, she's dead now.
Correct.
And the guy who did the shooting, his life will never be the same after this. He is going to suffer consequences that I bet you, if he could choose to not suffer those consequences, meaning not be in that position where he had to make that choice, I bet you if you ask him in 5 years from now, 10 years from now, he would wish for anything to not be in that position. So,
For sure.
and it reminds me of a quote that is played at the beginning of Black Hawk Down, and I think it's Socrates, is only the dead know the end of war. And it kind of sounds like you're saying, like, the end of war, like no more war, but I take it to mean the consequences, you know. In Like, my reaction to watching that whole thing go down was, I hope it was worth it for both of those
For
people,
both of them.
because their lives are either over or never going to be the same again.
Well,
So,
and the sad thing, let's say that lady was doing it for um political reasons and let's say activism. I want to protect Mexicans. Um it's all a fucking thing that was drummed up by politicians.
yeah.
Yeah, so this is a thing created by politicians, a narrative created by politicians that she believed, and I guess I can't take that away from her. But in my opinion, it just following a herd, and she died over somebody else's opinion. I would venture out to say that a lot of these people don't have their own opinion.
Hmm.
It's somebody else's opinion. You know, and
Yeah.
we see that a lot in self-defense training. We see that a lot in these types of situations. It's somebody else believed this, so I believe this as well. And on both sides, I guess. So that sucks. That sucks that it was a politically driven agenda because now you're dying for somebody else's purpose and not maybe not your own.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of weird. Just got a phone call. I didn't answer it, obviously, from a firearms instructor in Minneapolis. That's really odd. So,
Oh, that's crazy.
The one of my favorite pastimes is listening lately is because I'm getting old, is listening to
Smooth jazz.
smooth jazz and war podcasts, and just trying to understand how people move through history. And like nothing, there is nothing new about anything that's going on. And I've been listening to Dan Carlin's podcast about Alexander the Great and his war against the Persians. It's just fascinating watching, human beings make the same decisions and the same, you could call them mistakes, but in the moment, you don't know it's a mistake. Usually, you don't know it's a mistake.
Yeah.
You're just trying to live in the time and the place where you are. And
Correct.
so it's kind of watching what's going on with that lens. First of all, it helps you not get worked up. And I think that's like the biggest downfall of people who spend their time consuming all of this media, is that they get so wrapped up. And
I just got the same
oh, you
call.
did?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know who this person is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do
Well,
I know who this person is?
yes.
Okay.
Let me see if he wants to jump on.
Okay.
Fuck it.
Yeah,
Just making
that would be a timely interruption. So, can you advise what class to take for my CCW that will be expiring in Colorado? I understand there are more requirements for renewal. Yeah. So while Edgar's texting this guy, Mr. Sheps, the new requirement is that you have to take a renewal course. And the renewal course, the minimum time for the renewal course is 2 hours, but most instructors are finding that they can't meet all the requirements in 2 hours. And we found that as well. So if you take the class with us, it's a 4-hour class. It's free. It's on our website. If GFE National, GFE Golf Fox Echo National.com. And if any of the classes that say range on them will meet the renewal requirements. So, and on that note, I did a class in Aurora last night, and one of the guys in the class was at your range class recently, and he was very appreciative of the fact that the class was focused on self-defense and not focused on meeting the nonsense requirements. We meet the nonsense requirements, but that's not how we engineer the class, and that's not how we focus the learning in the class. So, and of course, he took Edgar's class, so he was all talking about how awesome it was. So he wasn't talking about my class. But yeah, so you need a renewal course, and you don't have to take it from us. You can take it from anybody, but ours is the best.
duh.
Edgar's is the best. Mine's second best. And we're doing, I don't know, your next one is this weekend, but it's probably full. So
It's full. Yeah.
but yeah, just take a look out there and what's on the website. We probably, like, I find myself in the concealed carry class in the classroom portion spending a good 45 minutes answering questions about this process, which takes 45 minutes away from learning about responsible use of a firearm. So that's really sad.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
where do
he can't jump on. He was
oh,
calling
okay.
for some other stuff.
Okay. Is he must be here in Colorado?
No.
Okay.
He's out there.
Oh, you're working with him with website stuff.
It seems like it, yeah.
Okay. I got some interesting feedback in the class last night during the debrief. One of the only people that really spoke up. Edgar's class in at the barbecue restaurant in Milliken. Speaking of political stuff.
Speaking of politics.
Yeah. So the feedback I got from this guy last night was, this guy was saying that he, after kind of talking about the legal risk, he was in that position of thinking, well, is it even worth it to defend myself now that I understand where the legal risk is? And this is a really hard thing to communicate in the class. Introducing people to risk that they weren't aware of before tends to put them off of the idea of doing it in the first place. And my perception of that is that's kind of a reaction to hearing about all the things that can go wrong. You know, like
Correct.
if you knew all the things that could go wrong in an airplane, you might be like tempted to never fly again. But then you
Have you ever talked to a pilot about that? Like how many quasi incidents or potentially emergency situations happen that they don't announce?
Oh yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, equipment failures,
Yeah.
weather. I mean, when the pilot gets on and says there's some weather ahead, we're going to try to go around it, might delay us a little bit, and people are like, "Oh, just fly through it." And you're like, yeah, weather can be quite dangerous,
Yeah.
especially to smaller planes, but even to
Correct.
bigger planes. And most of the major air disasters are a combination of equipment error and weather, and or equipment problems and weather. And it's really scary if you think about it. But yet you look at the safety record and you say, well, it's one of the safest things we do. Like,
Correct.
so um so it's that reaction to hearing that stuff for the first time. But then once you let it sit for a little while and you learn a little bit more about, you know, how to prepare for that risk, you start to understand it's like adults have to make adult decisions, and those decisions carry a lot of risk one way or the other. And you have to decide for yourself, but it's probably not as bad as you think it is, but you should be prepared for it.
Correct.
So, um, yeah. Have you gotten any interesting feedback in any of your recent classes?
No, no, it's been weird lately. I think most people that are there are kind of understanding what it's um what we're there to do. I've changed the way I do the intro at the range. And at the range, I've kind of set it up like I get it. You're just here to get that fucking piece of paper, but I do hope that we use this very limited time to do the self defense stuff as best as we can, understanding that it's still part of a make believe fucking system.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's taken a lot from it. The feedback I get a lot is I wish we would shoot more instead of talk more. And I was like, well, that's not where the learning happens.
Mm-hmm.
Like we could shoot all day long. Shooting is fucking easy. It is so fucking easy to shoot a gun. It's everything else in between, right? It's the decision making. So you don't end up in a was it murder, was it not murder, was it self defense? And it looks a little bit more cut and dry, like, that was definitely fucking murder, or that was definitely self defense. Like it's a horrible spot to be in, the self defense, or in that middle where like was it not?
Mm-hmm.
Um when we looked at Kyle Rittenhouse, as much as I'd like to criticize everything he did leading up to it, I think for most humans it was pretty cut and dry. Like this was, you had a few people for political reasons. I never looked at his case politically, but from the politics point of view, you always had people like, "Wow, he's my hero," and then other people like, "He's a fucking racist." Um, but when you look at his video objectively, all emotion aside, it's like, yeah, that was pretty cut and dry. That was, I may not agree, while I sip my fucking champagne and my coffee
Yeah.
and my slippers,
Yeah.
me not being there, I may not agree with everything he did, or what he was thinking, but in the moment, I could see why he did it. And then there's the taco shop incident in Houston, where it's just like, that motherfucker looked like he executed that motherfucker. I don't know. So it's all that in between,
Mm-hmm.
and so I think that's been the most thing, is trying to not convince humans, but get them to understand that shooting is so fucking easy, so easy. It's everything that comes in between that's the difficult part.
Yeah.
And I do have a video to kind of talk about that later. I think it's later.
I had a range class where I didn't get any feedback, but I was thinking about it later, and I should have called it out in the class. When we get to the assessment portion, um, when I'm trying to explain to people what we're doing with assessment. Like, how does assessment work? What's its purpose? And then how we're going to practice it on the range. And I had a line of shooters, and they, did the movement, they did the shooting. And then I started asking them individually, what did you assess? And not a single person
None. Yeah.
in the entire row of shooters could do what I asked them to do.
Yep.
And I thought to myself, well, that's weird. I've never had an entire line of shooters not be able to do it. And then the next group that came up, they didn't do a good job. They did better than the first group, but they didn't do a good job. And I was thinking about it. And I was like, I should have brought that up in the debrief and say, did I fail somewhere here to explain this correctly? Because none of you guys did this right. So
correct. It happens,
but,
dude. They fucking their cognitive overload.
Yeah. It does happen, but for an entire group to have it happen, like, that's probably on me. I probably did something wrong. So,
I
but
doubt
that
it.
feedback is really important. And I think, we try to address the issue that people don't like to give negative feedback face to face. So we try to explain what the purpose of it is and, reassure people that you're not, like, I'm not going to take this personally, or I'm going to try not to take this personally, because like, it could still happen.
Correct.
But it's an important part of the development process for the instructor. It's an important part of the class, and it's an important part of development for the student. And it shouldn't be something that you sit there quietly thinking, I can't give feedback. Like, you can, you might not say it the way you want to. You might be afraid of hurting feelings. You might feel like you're dumb for saying something, but it's a really important part.
Yeah, there's been I guess the one that I would say, well, that's ballsy that somebody brought it up is it used to happen a lot more. It doesn't happen as much now, but it's some dude kind of question my usage of retard. And that's got to be tough, right? When you tell somebody, "Hey, I don't like you using that word."
Yeah.
Especially since I just called everything retarded.
Yeah.
He's probably gonna call me that. But I think it always allows this conversation of like, well, let's just have a real fucking conversation about the usage of words and how they do matter. And obviously, I get into other stuff that's irrelevant to this conversation, but it is meaningful to have a conversation about shit that we disagree on, to understand why we disagree on it.
Yeah.
It gets to that point.
We got to go to the places that we don't want to go.
Correct.
If we're going to learn something.
Yeah, there's a fucking cheesy fucking quote, but it's true. What is it? The life you want is on the other side of the things you don't want to do.
Yeah. That is cheesy.
It is super cheesy, but it's 100% true.
Yeah.
It is 100% true. The life you want is on the other side of the shit you don't want to do. Because you got to do it. Like you got to do it, and having difficult conversations is important.
So, to bring up a name that tends to rile people up, Jordan Peterson talks about this a lot, about how fairy tales illustrate this, and how myth illustrates this idea that the things you want are in the dark part of the forest, the place that you're afraid to go.
Yeah.
And there's a whole bunch of reasons for that, but it's true. And you find out once you go through it, you're like, oh, it seems so obvious.
Correct.
After it's over. But before you do it, you think to yourself, I could never do that. I was listening to David Cho, who is an artist. He's pretty famous artist, and he was on a podcast, and he was just talking about his life, and his whole life is just doing all the things that he was afraid of doing. And like, he had a compulsion to do them, and they were not good things. Like, a lot of them were dark things. But going through it was the only way he could process all the terrible things that had happened to him. So The kind of person you probably like to listen to, but maybe not be friends with because it's too chaotic and too, um, you know, that kind of person is the kind of person that makes you confront all the things that you are afraid of. So,
Yeah.
um, not to get too esoteric about firearms training, but really the idea, of using violence against another person is something we're socialized not to do. And I think a lot of people deep down wonder if they really could do it if they had to. Um, and if you can't confront that in a class, you're gonna have a harder time confronting it in real life, that conflict. So, um, all right. Different topic. This came up in a class. Somebody asked about this, and I gave the best answer I could in the moment, but I've been thinking a lot about it. You've seen the braced pistols, right? The the SIG chassis
Oh,
where
just 1 second.
yeah.
I was gonna try a new one.
Which one is that one?
It's just a regular fucking white one.
Does it have a vertigo
It
healer in it?
No, the other one, my fucking son drank it, so I just wanna talk some shit that I could have been healed if I woulda had the other fucking flavor, but no, here I am drinking some fucking basic ass Monster, struggling. Every time I turn my head, dude, it's fucking
Yeah, I could see you
crazy,
struggling. Like, um,
crazy.
so the idea of these braced pistols as defensive weapons.
All of them,
So,
all brace pistols?
we're not talking like AR type. We're talking handguns that you drop into like a chassis that turns it into like kind of like a sub gun, uh, where the shoulder brace pops out, um,
Yeah,
and you have like a handle on the front of it.
yeah.
And my assessment of this
So the
tool is that
Ronies and shit like that, kinda like it?
kind of like that, but these are
Kinda.
ones that
Yeah, they came out with the SIGs at first.
yeah, MX1 tactical brace. There's a bunch of them. I haven't
Yeah,
kept up with all the models,
yeah.
but the appeal seems to be that you could put it in a bag, and
Mhm.
then you have a basically a miniature rifle in the size of a handgun. And the way I look at this is it is a handgun, and the brain, when it picks up a tool that is designed for a specific task, and then you want to do something else with that tool that's different than the way the tool is designed to be used, that creates an inconsistency with that tool.
Correct.
Um,
Yeah,
so if
imagine
you
putting a brace on a hammer,
yeah,
and then you go frame a house, and then all of a
right,
sudden you gotta strap something on, and it's
right.
like
And if that's the only tool you ever learned how to hammer with, it's probably fine,
correct,
but it's not optimal.
correct.
But now you have a tool that does two things. It can operate as a handgun, or it can operate as basically a rifle. Um, and as an offensive tool, maybe that makes more sense. But as
Maybe.
a defensive tool, it I
Stupid.
think it creates an issue of your brain trying to solve more than one problem when it only should have to solve the one problem of accessing the tool.
Yeah, I've been struggling on how to communicate our concepts better to humans in our classes, and I there are certain points, and obviously I haven't done the peer review thing that we tend to do, is because I need to be able to articulate this properly, but it's just and you and I see a fuck ton more people than on a consistent basis, low level than anybody on the PDN tour. Um, they see a lot of self defense students and shit like that but on a consistent basis, 2 3 times a week, we're seeing a lot of fucking humans.
Hmm.
So it's how everyday humans see defensive stuff. I don't think they see it as defensive stuff. I think most of the shit that they see or they visualize is offensive. And I think this is why a lot of this shit is so appealing to them, because they think they're going to have enough time to do all that shit. And they might, right? They might, because we don't know time, that whole time thing. But at the same time, everything in their brain is, I'm going to have plenty of time to take my safety off. I'm going to have enough time to do the fucking brace bullshit. Um, and it's weird why most of these humans believe that it's offensive stuff works, right? They like slicing the pie. You fucking tell a room full of dudes at a concealed carry class we're going to learn how to slice the pie.
Oh, they're gonna get
Oh, dude,
rock hard.
hard,
Yeah.
fucking solid, dude. Um, but it doesn't. It's not defensive. It's not a good defensive tactic. So
the other thing about the pistol is the idea that that a rifle is not exactly intuitive. It's not as intuitive as a handgun in a
correct,
defensive context,
correct,
because the rifle requires you to bring your arms close to you to be violent,
correct,
where the handgun flows with your body's tendency to move your arms away from you to be violent.
correct,
So the hands have two basic postures for defense, which one is a protective posture and one is a moving the tool as far away, or moving the threat as far away as it can get, stretching the hands out,
correct,
defending with the arms stretched out.
correct.
And if you, speaking of Kyle Rittenhouse, if you watch the way that he deployed that rifle in the fight, he was using the rifle like he didn't take a single aimed shot with the rifle.
Correct. Correct.
He, when he was confronted face to face on his feet, the rifle was at about what, a little bit above his waist, and it was pointed at the threat. And then when he fell, he's looking at the threats and he is orienting the muzzle towards the threats, but he is not shouldering the gun in any way. And I have a theory that without quite a bit of training, using a rifle in a self-defense context is not intuitive at all. It's something that needs to be trained extensively in order for that to be a well-defined, disciplined, trained response. And so,
I don't know if we see any good ones.
Yeah, not
this one's look at this one.
Okay, so that one, he's bringing the rifle up to his face, but he didn't actually fire it in that position.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna see that.
Yeah, that was jump kick guy. And this is a theory. This is a working theory. I could be wrong about this.
Yeah, for sure.
But
you really don't see.
It was very suboptimal. We'll say that. It was very suboptimal. The caliber was optimal. There was a there was a lot of advantage on his part to have the rifle for doing the most amount of damage once the bullet hits the target. But the use of the rifle was not what we would consider, good form, good mechanics, good, presentation and that kind of stuff. So, I'm just playing with this. I'm trying to explore this idea. We're teaching a rifle class in March, a defensive rifle class. And, one of the things that we've experienced when teaching rifle classes is managing the gun is a lot more work than it is for handguns.
Well, and we've talked about this before, right? Because people want to use them a lot for home defense rifles, and then it's always like the reason the handgun is more convenient in that setting is I can use one hand. It's not optimal, but I can protect other stuff, move around, all that shit. I could go to stage position. The thing that makes a rifle shotgun awesome, or part of it, aside from the velocity of the round, is 4 points of contact. And in many of these close quarter circumstances, you're not going to have 4 points of contact. It'd be tough for you to have 4 points of contact.
Yeah.
So then all of a sudden you're shooting a fucking shotgun, you're shooting a rifle, essentially like you would shoot a handgun. And at that point, just fucking have a handgun. It's not as practical as people make it out to be.
Yeah. And that's the problem that the brace is trying to, the brace chassis thing is trying to solve, is to give you the convenience of the handgun with the 4 points of contact. But you're venturing into the territory of making a tool more complex than is reasonable for the job that you're asking it to do.
Yeah.
And there may be ways to do it that are repeatable and trainable and everything, but your average person who is training for self-defense or buying a gun for self-defense is not going to put in that kind of time, and is not going to develop that trained response as efficiently as they could with just one tool, just one simple tool. So
And I mean, I guess I'll just show it now because I think it has a little bit to do with this. My wife will say it's because it's Michelle.
Scusi.
Yeah, but if we if we look at this, talking about repeatable and all that shit, if we kind of pay attention to this, this is what we want to avoid.
Oh yeah.
So, and any guesses as to what the fuck happened?
She
Right.
probably had her finger on the slide lock.
No, here we go. So this is a human who she's a competitive shooter for people that don't know.
An accomplished competitive shooter.
She's pretty good on paper, but it's all choreographed. It's all make believe. It's all in a stage. It's all hyper controlled. And this is the problem with those braces is you can be really good in a hyper controlled environment, and then when life requires you to not be in a hyper controlled environment, shit like that happens. Well, what happened to her was she choreographs her technique, she choreographs her skill. So she shot a few rounds and she went to go do a reload, except she had added one more round than she normally does.
So she
So
was expecting the need to reload.
she was expecting the need to reload. So she went to go do a reload because, oh, she had just shot 2 rounds or 3 rounds, however many, and she had one round too many. Instead of training for the stimulus of the slide lock back.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't need to look at that. Like we talk about this in classes. You don't need to look at it. This is the problem with people who are trying to force a reload instead of actually waiting for the reload to happen. Now, that shit happened in a real fight. And then her response to it was not even let's fix it. Her response to it was like, what happened to my gun? Why didn't it work? And then she ragged like, oh, that's why it didn't work. That's not an appropriate self-defense response. The appropriate self-defense response is fucking fix it and get back inside the fucking fight.
Yeah.
This is the problem with douchery shit like that, and then listening to people who do competitive shooting and not defensive shooting. It's not the same thing. It's never the same thing.
And the consequence, the practical consequence for this is time.
Yeah.
Is we're creating a situation where something is going to take more time than it needs to take if it was trained appropriately. And going back to what we said about time before, like you might have time to fix that, but you might not, but it's not really up to you. In the fight, we're trying to be efficient for the fight, for the context. And wasting time by diagnosing a problem that doesn't need to be diagnosed because you trained it incorrectly is a problem. Like her gun worked, like there was nothing wrong with her gun.
Correct.
It just
Correct.
didn't do what she expected it to do. And one of the things that I learned early on in the IDS program was, a lot of guns, when you go to reload them from empty, so slide lock back, you shove the magazine in and the gun closes by itself. And when I was in the end user course and that happened, Rob yelled at me, "Rack the slide," and I said, "But it's loaded." And so we had to talk then about the consistency of doing the same motions
Correct.
without looking at the gun, without having to think about the gun. And in my head, I'm thinking, I felt the slide go forward. I know it's loaded. But his point was, but what if it doesn't go forward? And now you've lost the time. You're giving up a round. You're racking the slide on a loaded gun. You're giving up that little bit of time, and that you're giving up that extra round, but you're doing it so that your actions are consistent and you don't have to think about them. They just go. They just do what they're supposed to do.
Correct.
So,
Correct.
um,
I've been playing this. Well, you were gonna say something smart.
oh no,
Go.
I was just filling time.
Oh, I've been doing this exercise in class. Super fucking cheesy, but I've found it to be very beneficial to get people to understand. You guys believe one certain way, and you guys all are fucking sheep, and you guys have been sold this idea of how guns in defense should work. And what I want to prove to you guys is that once you have an idea in your head, you are only looking for information that confirms what you already believe. And I got this from Veritasium. I highly encourage people to do it and figure it out. Um, but um, it's basically just setting up three numbers, and they follow a pattern, but they more importantly follow a rule. And the students have to figure out what the rule is, and they can ask any questions, say any number, and right away it's like, "Oh, you're just multiplying by 2." And like, "No, that's not the rule." And they're like, "Well, it's plus 2." Well, that's not the fucking rule. And then one time it was times 2 plus 2 and then power of 2, and it was all similar response. And then almost instantly they go like, "Whoa, those are distances," because they're looking at the three numbers I have on the board. Those are distances on self-defense. Like, "No, that's not the rule." Um and eventually they figure out what the rule is, but the point is like, look at like, you consistently win math, 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 very similar math, by the way, not even completely different math, and then you went to distances, and then you kind of got stuck on distances or time, distance, time, distance, time, and they'll say the same shit over and over and over again until finally, like, I kind of nudge them in the same direction. And that's basically what happens here is I believe this MX1 thing is super awesome. So I'm only going to find evidence that supports how awesome this thing is. And so I can justify buying the fucking thing instead of just doing what Project 1868. I think he said his name was Joseph too, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Instead of doing that, we're like, yeah, it's super awesome. Like I like it, and I'm just gonna buy it just because it's awesome, not because I'm gonna use it for self defense. It seems like we want to justify how awesome it is. Like I talk a lot of shit about douchey shit. Like I have a lot of douchey shit.
Hmm.
Like I have a lot of douchey shit, but it's tough to tell the populace you're just looking for that confirmation bias. You need to knock that shit off.
Yeah, and the brain is hardwired for the confirmation bias. So it's not like a you suck because you do confirmation bias. You have to identify the confirmation bias and actively overcome it.
Yeah,
Uh, I was reading this article about how vision works, and
yeah,
this guy who reconstructs car accidents, and he goes into all the science about why we don't see things that should be obvious to us, and we don't see them because we don't expect to see them, or they don't fit the model that we expect to see. And in self-defense, the chaos of self-defense requires that we not succumb to that, that we do things, we train for things that work in identifying unexpected things,
correct,
which is a really hard thing to do. But if we're
correct.
going to train for self-defense, then we should be training to identify blind spots in our perceptions, and that includes the learning process, and includes how we select our tools, and includes all that stuff.
Yeah,
So because it's easy to make things look like they work, like you said, in a controlled environment, but what does the science say about whether it works or not? And one of the things that complicates this is that innovation is always there, and we're always looking for a way to improve, but we have to be critical of those innovations, and test them against the science, and not test them against our feelings or our previous experiences or our anecdotal experiences.
correct.
So this is why I'm trying to explore the idea of the use of a rifle in self-defense. We don't have a lot of video also to back it up. So it's more theoretical until it becomes more concrete. But like I said, that's why I gave the best answer that I could in the class using the things I know about how the brain and the body and the tools work. But I wasn't trying to tell the person that they don't work. I was trying to say, we don't know if they work. So here's the problems I can see with using this tool in this context. So
Yeah.
So Telescope 57 might be a bot because you just said 1 million pounds.
And that's on you, on your side
That's
too.
on mine. I'm attracting all the bots.
You're attracting
My
all the
channel
bots.
has been a little dormant for a little while. And so maybe it's collecting nonsense. So so Joseph says, like, red dots. Red dots are clearly an innovation that has potential, but also should not just be blindly accepted without understanding how vision works, without understanding how complexity works, and without understanding am I still on?
Yeah, you're still on.
Okay. I got some message that the chat blew up, so I didn't know if I'd been disconnected.
Your chat blew up?
Yeah, I don't know. It's something with my channel, so hopefully it's still going. But yeah, so it's like this stuff is a lot more complicated than it looks on the surface. And I think the main thing that we're looking for in the classroom is just the humility to explore these things rather than falling back on I learned this in the past, or this looks like it works, and just being willing to be critical of things and not formulaic about my favorite YouTuber did it and he knows a lot about guns, so I'm going to take his perspective on it. So
yeah.
And on that note, I was lurking on arf.com, and this guy posted a picture of his handgun box, and I'm just going to share real quick so you can see it. And he went on to describe all the guns in this box and what they're for. And this box is for new shooters.
Okay.
And he says in here, starting with the 22 revolver, then working up to a semi-automatic 22 double action with the safety decocker, and then going to the full-size revolver 38, and then going to a compact full caliber revolver, so like a snubby 38, and then going to the M&P Shield Easy 380, and then finally to the Glock 43, which is a 9mm. And this is how we teach people how to handle firearms. And I was just like, wow, that's a lot of steps. Just start with the Glock 43.
This is the myth. This is I recently had a chick, and maybe I talked about this in the last podcast. I think it's been like 3 weeks since we did a podcast. But I need to take that lady around, and at some point it won't be a novelty anymore because she won't be a new shooter anymore. She's a new shooter, and she couldn't give two fucks about what make, model, because she borrowed one of my guns.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't give two flying fucks about what the gun was. She's like, I know what the fuck I'm here for. I want to learn. I want to get better, but I also want to get the permit. So let's do this shit. What gun do you want? I don't give a fuck. And then we had conversations throughout the class. She's like, yeah, it's just a gun. It's just a gun. I don't like revolvers for self-defense, but I know that if I'm about to get raped, like if somebody's going to put it in my butt, I'm going to use the fucking revolver and I'm going to shoot the motherfucker with whatever. I think instructors like this create this idea that the gun matters more than you and your ability and the understanding of the limbic system and understanding of how your brain works and your body's natural reactions and all that shit. Way too much emphasis in the tool. It matters for sure, right? Like I want to start off with the gun that is actually awesome. But that's a lot, dude. That's That's fucking nonsense.
Well, and think of all the complexity that you are overloading this new defensive shooter with.
Unnecessary, by the way.
Unnecessary complexity.
Yeah.
Um, and so and lack of consistency because you're going, you're doing all these different calibers. You're going from a 38 to a 380, and like that's not a small step.
Correct.
And manual of arms, safety devices, and then you end up with a gun that doesn't have any of that.
Any of that shit.
So it's just like, eh, but it's like this idea that um, I think that you don't trust the human. And I've seen this in another issue too, when people talk about they go to a concealed carry class where shooting is required, and the instructor, puts everybody on the shooting line, usually in an indoor range. So there's, you have barriers between you, which is not a good learning environment. I understand there's limitations to resources, but we've both taught in an indoor range when they're in the stalls. It's not a good learning environment, and you get people who are complaining that the people next to them are creating all these safety issues, can't hit anything, and they're blaming the shooter. They're blaming the person who's there to learn, but they're not being taught well. They're not being
Correct.
taught for the right context. They're not being taught with an understanding about, adult learning. They're not being taught about, true risk and all these things. So it makes it look like your average person who's being introduced to guns cannot be trusted to do safe things with them, and can't be trusted to manage the complexity of the tool or the physical requirements of the tool. And we just have to like put them through this excruciatingly complex process because they don't know any better. And I think it's pretty obvious in the IDS program that most people, not all people, but way more than you think, can manage all that as long as they're being taught correctly.
Correct.
And one of the pieces of feedback that I've heard many times is we should have gone over the gun more. We should have talked more about the gun. You should have separated the people who are new. You should have done all these things. And like, I understand why you think that, but that is not how we learn. And that's not how we learn in this environment.
Correct.
And so
I'm always curious on like what they think is going to benefit them, because every time I asked it, like, what do you think? What would we get out of separating the new people and the experienced people, and then how do we qualify that?
mhm.
Like, well, I don't know. I was like, that's a problem, right? If you don't know, if you don't have a solution to what you think a problem is, then you're just saying shit for no fucking reason. Because if you have a problem that you're going to bring up, it's probably because you already thought about some sort of solution, even if it was a bullshit solution, like you've thought about this. But this idea of, hey, you should do it this way. Oh, why? Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
fuck you mean? Like what? Then you're offering nothing. Like
Yeah.
you're offering nothing. It just you felt uncomfortable with being around somebody who you think shouldn't be in the class or shouldn't be around you, and you're just racist. You're just a fucking
You're
racist.
just participating in the patriarchy, man. Um, yeah, and in a different topic on that same note, this came up last night during the class. Start talking about the legal process for evaluating self-defense, and I've heard this question given, uh, asked multiple times. Why is it so hard? Why is it like this? And the guy last night, he said it should be more black and white. And so I asked him, okay, well, how?
Correct.
Like,
Correct.
how would you do it? And his answer was, well, we just let the good guy tell us why they did
Yeah.
it. Like,
Problem
okay,
solved, buddy.
yeah. So, somebody
Can you
just
imagine
wait.
how many people we would kill and be like, well,
Yeah.
I thought he was gonna kill me, so that's why.
I mean, everybody who does stuff, not everybody, almost everybody who does something like this, who hurts another person has a reason.
Correct.
And
And most of them feel like they're justified.
yeah.
Dude, the weirdo who shot Reagan thought he was justified to get the attention of
Jodie Foster.
Jodie Foster. Like, in his brain, he felt justified. This is what I have to do so I could get some fucking foster poon,
Yeah.
and then joke's on him, she's been fucking gay. Like, she should
Yeah.
have said that before, like, see? Reagan would have never been shy, he would have never supported the Brady Bill. Uh, can you
Think of how
imagine?
different the world would have been.
The world would be so different if fucking Jodie Foster would have just came out from the get-go and be like, "I like poontang."
Oh, man.
But it's so weird how that's dumb.
Yeah,
Just let
and
us
again,
tell
like,
us.
I understand the reason behind the question, because
Right.
the idea that you would defend yourself and then be treated like a criminal for doing it is not a comfortable feeling.
Correct.
But it it's an incredibly complex question. We have a pretty clear law, like, meaning that the law is not long, the law is not overly complex. But the problem is the complexity of life and the complexity of how we apply that law to violence, to justified violence. And it's not easy to do. In some cases, it is easy to do. You get, grandma asleep in her bed, and four guys break into the house, and grandma grabs her 38 and starts blasting. And who's going to argue with that?
Correct.
But that's not really that common. Most self-defense happens in environments where it can be hard to tell who the good guy is. And so, and then you're putting your lens of what you think is good on top of that analysis, and not everybody sees it that way. And we had just finished talking about Rittenhouse, and that's an excellent example of you take a person who defended himself, and half of the country thinks that he should be an electric chair, and the other half of the country thinks he should be president, and both think that they understand self-defense.
Correct.
So, and it is a complex problem. Like, it's not designed, like, there's no expectation that people are going to that it's an easy problem to solve. But and I find this with older people. Older people get more entrenched in their ways, and they think, like, the world is the way that I'm used to it being, or it should be the way that I grew up. And they have this idea in their head of that's not really true. It's a romanticized version of the way the world was. And they think, well, things have changed and it's not fair. Should be back to the way that I understood it to be.
Correct.
But that's not at all how life works.
I find myself yelling more and more at the people. It's not even gun related. It's technology related. When they look at the QR codes, and this is a 60-year-old, 70-year-old person, and they look at the QR codes, they're like, "What am I supposed to do with that?" I was like, "You're 60, dude." Like, all of this technology was available when you were 50 and when you were 40.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like you fucking are 80 and you haven't been using a fucking cell phone. I think that excuse of, "Well, I'm 60 and I'm old," they're like, motherfucker, you're 60. You grew up with this shit. This shit, you've seen the cameras come up. You've
Yeah.
seen the smartphones come up. You had plenty of that. 80, 90 years old, I'm like, a little bit more lenient because you were 60 when this shit started to become a thing. You were already old when this shit started to become a thing. But if you're 60, you were young-ish, still old. You were in your 40s, you were in your 50s when this fucking thing started coming. Like, there's no fucking excuse. Um, in guns, very rarely do I see an old fuck. We're talking about old, who's willing to accept that today's technology is better than. It's very rare when humans like, yeah, it is what it is. Let's learn it the new way. Um, it's so fucked, man, because we're going there.
Yeah.
We're going there. I just had my the water heater replaced, and I took everything out. The dude was from Bulgaria, and I guess yesterday was his name day. And for humans that don't know, it's similar that when Mexicans do. Catholic Mexicans have a day of their saint. Every Mexican has a saint, and it's kind of like your birthday. For him, it was his name day. So it's not his birthday, but that day belongs to people named that name.
Okay.
So water heater goes out on Tuesday, and I'm trying to fix it. Um, and he comes out because I'm not a pro. I know a little bit, and then he kind of gets it going. We jerry rig it together. Him and I started the process of bypassing a sensor, which you shouldn't bypass, but I fuck it. I have a CO2 monitor. I don't give a fuck, so I bypassed it. Kind of worked, didn't work. He got it to work, and then it stopped working. And then I took everything out. Just this story tells you how old I am. I could have gotten to the point a long time ago. Uh,
I already forgot what we were talking about.
For sure. So I take the fucking thing out because my landlord, she's like, "That is he there yet?" I was like, "No, I'm okay if he doesn't show up till today.
Yeah.
Like, I'm okay. Like, he said he had a celebration. Let him have his fucking celebration." No, no, no. I told him he needs to be there. No, like it's cool. It actually would have worked out better for me. Um, and I took everything out because I was like, this lady's relentless. Like, she needs me to have hot water like now. Um, which I appreciate about her, but also kind of annoying. And so I took it out for him, took everything out, and then he got there and installed it. And I tell Tish, I was like, I feel like a fucking State Farm commercial because I'm just there watching him. Like, do you think you need a double L wrench
Yeah.
for that pipe there, buddy? Like that, don't become your parent shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fucking 100%. I was
Those are
just
my
like,
favorites.
they're just standing over him watching it. So I fear that I'm becoming these fucking people that are not willing to progress and not
Yeah.
willing to accept that it's not the way it's. But I learned a long time ago when I see my neighborhood fucking going to shit via gentrification. It's like it's some shit needs to go. Some
Mhm.
shit is. There's a lot of restaurants. There's here in town, Jim's Burger Haven. Everybody loves Jim's Burger Haven. Like, that place needs to fucking go. Like that, their burgers are dry as fuck. They're disgusting. That place needs to fucking go.
Yeah.
Like if they turned it into a hipster taco shop, like I'd be all for it. Um, so it's that nostalgia, right? Of like I just want it to be the same.
Yeah.
Doesn't work in self defense though.
Well, and
Doesn't work anywhere, but
like I think one of the things that happens with self-defense law around this is you probably never heard of anybody going to jail for defending themselves back when there was no social media.
oh yeah,
But now you hear about it and you're like, that's not the way it was when I was young. Like, how do you know?
correct,
What was your avenue of information
correct,
where you learned about this stuff?
correct.
And there's a video. Am I still sharing? Yeah, I am. Okay.
Are you?
It said I was. I think Restream's acting weird right now.
I don't think it's restream. I think I deleted that one fuck twat.
And it caused all kinds of weirdness.
Oh, you mean sharing this?
Yeah.
No,
So
I deleted the other one that you were sharing.
yeah, it said I was still sharing though.
Oh, okay.
So then you see stuff like this. Colion Noir puts out a
Man.
video, and I'm only showing the thumbnail.
Speaking of old, oh, I was gonna say, speaking of old, look at them fucking fonts, man. That shit's huge.
Oh, I'm zoomed in so you can see it, but
Got
yeah, I'm not there yet. I don't have my text messages all zoomed in yet. I'm on my way though.
Tisha
Um,
does. It's hilarious.
so this case out of Portland, this thumbnail on the right says shot armed robbers and was charged with murder. And the pace of information these days is you're more than likely going to read that thumbnail than you are to pay attention to the actual story.
Correct.
And so you say, oh, wait a minute, this guy got robbed at gunpoint, defended himself,
Yeah.
and was charged with murder. That wasn't the way it was when I was growing up. Okay, well, the real story here is that this dude who's on the right in the thumbnail, who's shooting at full extension, by the way,
Yeah.
He was robbed, and he grabbed his backpack and ran out of the store. And then once he was out of the store, the 4 armed robbers went to town stealing everything, and he opened his backpack, pulled out his gun, walked over to the drive-through window, and started blasting at these 4 guys
From outside.
from outside the
Yeah.
building. And he did this in Portland, and he was charged with murder.
And Koyan's really good at the clickbait titles.
Yeah, and he
Yeah.
was acquitted by a Portland jury. That's the real story.
Yeah.
Like, when people wanna talk about, "Oh, you know, in
'Cause
liberal
let's be
states."
honest, he did murder them.
Yeah,
Whether
absolutely.
he 100% murdered them. Now we can agree and disagree on should they have been like, how they should have been punished, the burglars, because 'cause I'm not justifying what the robbers did.
Right.
Fuck those people, pieces of shit. Like, none of that. I hope they get tank cancer, all of that shit.
Yeah.
But if we look at ethically, morally, and even legally, he did murder them because he
Yeah.
left, and then he came back with the gun just to shoot them while they were essentially cornered and caged.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean,
A
this is
and
as
he was
close to
acquitted.
shooting fish in a barrel as you can possibly get.
Correct. Correct.
Um, and
Correct.
and who acquitted him? A Portland jury.
Yeah, Portland, dude.
A
A
Portland
bunch
jury.
of man buns in
And
flannels.
that's the real story,
Correct.
but it's buried under this thumbnail.
Correct.
You know, it's labeled as defensive gun use. We're showing a thumbnail of 4 masked people and a guy shooting, but we're not getting any real context for what's happening here. And, you know, like, I'm not on anybody's side here. I don't know these people.
Correct.
I you know, maybe this dude who defended himself really believed that he needed to do this, or maybe he was angry. I don't know. Like, I'm
Correct.
not in his shoes. I'm not on his side. I'm not on the armed robber side. We're just looking at this objectively,
Correct.
and we can't call this defense.
Yeah.
Or at least not defense of a person.
Correct.
We could say defense of the weed shop, but is that worth killing somebody over? And some people would say yes, but that's not what the law says.
Correct.
So, um,
That's crazy.
but you see a headline like this and you think, oh, the world's going to hell. This guy was just defending himself and he gets charged with murder. And we don't look at the real story, which is a progressive part of the country, a heavily progressive part of the country acquitted him of this gross misunderstanding of what self-defense is. So, and I like, we have to understand the natural progression of age and the natural progression of how the brain, you know, ages over time and culture and everything. But like, if we're going to spend time talking about it and calling it out, like, we have to tell the truth.
Correct.
And we have to try to draw the correct lessons from it.
Yeah.
And so this guy is really lucky that he is not going to prison, but his life as he planned it is definitely over. And, you know, it sucks to get robbed. It sucks to be taken advantage of, but
He ought to hit up fucking Dudley and be like, "Hey, you need another pawn?"
yeah. So, yeah, and and it also gets back to our the problem we have with people who evaluate these kinds of cases, and they try to pronounce whether somebody's justified or not. And there is an objective answer to whether they're justified or not. And
Correct.
the answer is, were they convicted of anything?
Correct.
And if they were, then they weren't justified. And if they weren't convicted, then they were justified.
And by the way, they're always going to be going back to what we talked about in the beginning. They're always justified to themselves, but that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And
I guess
think
we
that's
should
what people.
define what we mean when we say justified. And I think
Correct.
what a lot of people mean is justifiable.
Correct.
Can they rationalize why this person did this thing?
Correct.
Or you know, the opposite. Can they rationalize that this person shouldn't have done this thing?
Correct.
And as people get more proficient with their cameras and the cameras are more and more places, we just continually see more and more examples of bad choices and outcomes that don't match people's values, but objectively we can draw conclusions. There are a lot of road rage incidents where people are like, you step up to my window and you get shot, and that's your fault for stepping up to my window. And we're completely ignoring the 5 minutes that led up to that.
Correct.
There was a road rage case out of New York. It was on video, and this guy blocked this other guy in and came up to his door, and they argued for a little bit, and the argument progressed on both sides. Both people were talking shit to each other, and then eventually the guy who was on foot, swung on the guy in the car, and he got shot 3 or 4 times in the face for it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you shouldn't swing on people in the car, but the witness who filmed it said these guys were cutting each other off, checking each other, fighting for position on the road, and none of that was necessary.
Correct.
So, but yeah, I mean, these are problems that are never going to get solved. But if we're going to spend our time learning and evaluating and trying to draw lessons and conclusions, we got to try to be objective about it. As objective as we can be, because there's no such thing as pure objectivity when it comes to people's perceptions. So like physics is objective, except how you interact with physics isn't always objective.
But even physics says it's relative.
Yeah.
Like even physics accepts that there is real on this side,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's real on this side. But the problem is that people who are over here want to go over there. It's like that's not the
People
reality.
who are talking about superposition of particles, and I'm just
Correct.
trying to talk about how to fix my car, and we don't have anything to talk about. Both of us are correct.
Correct.
But neither one of our conversations are going to help the other person.
And that happens a lot within guns. So you see this a lot. This is why I stopped promoting ASP. A big reason is he would play the videos, and he started off pretty decent, and then he fell into the sensationalism of it all. He got too popular for his own good to a certain degree. It was this is the thing, and here's my opinion about the thing. It was like that had fucking nothing to do with what the fuck that's not valuable. He should have been faster. The fuck? Well, maybe, I guess, but like also probably should have done all kinds of other, because if we're going to that, then he shouldn't have been there. Like that's my position. How about that? I beat you to the fucking he should have done that, but like that's not what happened, and there's no lesson learned, and he should have been faster.
Should have been faster at doing something that he shouldn't have been doing in the first place. He had a video the other day where he was talking to an attorney about a case that he had provided expert witness testimony on, and the guy who he was trying to help ended up getting convicted. And they acknowledged that he shouldn't have been in that position, but then they spent most of the rest of the time talking about how he got screwed by the legal system. I was like, well, you wouldn't have been in that position if you hadn't been driving like a total asshole and believing that your gun is your problem solver. Your gun is your enforcement tool for how the road works. And I think there's value in being a person who goes out and finds stories like this and brings them into a place where everybody can learn about it, like, learn the facts of the case. But and we do this too. We have to be careful about this. It's really easy to start talking about conclusions that that are based on false premises, or you're trying to draw lessons from the wrong part of the story. And that's like, it's part of the whole progression of knowledge and everything. Like, most of the things that people try out when it comes to knowledge are wrong. That's the whole point of the scientific method, is to disprove all the things that we think are true. But I think the thing that is a stumbling block for everybody, including myself, is that preconceived notion versus what is the information actually trying to tell us. So there was another thing I wanted to say about vision that I learned, scientific thing about vision. And maybe you knew this. You probably did know this. I didn't know this. Did you know that our eyeballs do not see the world in 3D?
Correct.
We see the entire world in 2 dimensions.
2Ds. Yeah.
Your brain constructs
Correct.
3D. Now,
Correct.
3D is real,
Correct.
but we don't see 3D,
Correct.
but we perceive it.
Correct.
Isn't that wild?
Well, we don't, dude, everything is so fucking crazy. When I was really studying about the eyeballs and how we see shit, and just this idea that, and it makes sense now because the way our eyeballs are shaped, that the image actually comes in upside down,
Mhm.
and our brain has to flip it right side up. We have a blind spot like right about here, but we never notice it because your eyes try to fill in that gap.
Mhm.
Your eyeballs are wild. This is why when the doofus is like, "Well, I can see the thing with both eyes open," I was like, "Shut the fuck up, go sit down." Uh, like, until you study how it's wild, dude.
Yeah.
Um,
And
it's
this is
fucking
why I
wild.
didn't understand the answer for a while when I challenged Rob Pincus on the concept of using 2 eyes, because this is one of the hangups I had for a long time about shooting with 2 eyes open. And he gave me the same answer several times, but it didn't click
Correct.
for a very long time. And the answer was, I'm telling him I can use 2 eyes, so why don't I? And his answer was, "You're not using 2 eyes, you're using 1 eye."
Correct.
And I'm like, "No, both eyes are open, but
You
you're
can't.
only using one of them."
You're only using one of 'em.
And it like that was one of those things where I'm like, "No, I know because of my experience, but science doesn't agree with that."
No, and here's the thing is your brain will trick you into believing you're using both eyes because
Right.
again, your eye is trying to fill in the gap. There's a perfect example of this is uh, I don't know how to find the video, but you guys can find the video. It's scrolling celebrities. So on two sides you have two different celebrities and the celebrity changes like every second or 2 seconds. Your goal is to focus on the cross. They put like a white cross in the center. You look at that, and at some point, the images will look distorted, like almost like Picasso images. And the idea is this is to prove how you're not looking at those images, but because the images are there, your brain is trying to reconstruct what you believe those images to be. But obviously, it's doing a really poor job because your eyes are focused on the center cross. So your brain is just trying to fill in the gaps, and that's why they look distorted. You're not
Mhm.
actually seeing them. Your brain is trying to add the image there for you, so you don't feel like a fucking doofus. And everybody thinks it's a gimmick, but if you replay the video, you see those images as normal because you're
Mhm.
actually seeing the it's fucking crazy how the brain works, dude, and how much shit it just tries to make up and is like, let's just pretend because this is what you expect to see.
Right.
So we're gonna tell you this is what you expect to see so you don't feel like a fucking lunatic.
And on top of that, you have uh, the value system and the goals playing over that. So your brain is trying to make sense of an image, but your psychology is also contributing to that. So the eye is doing work, the occipital lobe is doing work, the frontal cortex is doing work, and they're all providing their input. And then whatever you see, you believe is real.
Correct.
Because if it's not, now there's something really wrong with you. Like. And so it's really fascinating stuff. And it's really heavy duty stuff. Like I can learn about this stuff, but I'm in no way an authority on it. And so it's daunting, I would say. And I think that's one of the things that kind of drives people away from using this information, because if it doesn't fit in the model and they don't understand how to use it, then it feels like it can't be right, so I'm just going to ignore it.
Correct.
And but I learned a bunch of other things too, like about how your ears turn down the volume on your own voice. This is why part of the reason why our voice doesn't sound like our voice when we hear it on a recording. Part of it is volume. Uh, if you were to take your volume of your voice and then somebody was talking at that same volume at the same distance from your ear, it would be too loud. So your own voice is too loud for your ears. So your brain turns the volume down on your own voice.
Yeah. Right
And
now, right now, I can't fucking hear you well enough with this shit.
yeah.
So it's like multiply for me right now because whatever the fuck is happening in my head right now
Yeah.
because of the vertigo, it's all of that shit is the how weirdly it's connected.
Yeah.
And obviously this is valuable because it's not just a fucking biology lesson, but this is so fucking valuable, more so than what caliber you shoot,
Mhm.
than how fucking perfect you shoot the target. Like just understanding shit like that, like, oh, that's why it happens. So
Yeah.
now I can train better. Now I can now I understand why my eyes do that. Now I understand why I see the way I see when I'm shooting the gun, a red dot, focusing on the front side. Now I get it. Now I can defend myself better. And that is a bigger edge. I have to admit it, a bigger edge than what type of gun I'm shooting.
Right.
Like it's important the type of gun that you shoot, but it's nowhere near as important as I understand how my body works. And by the way, how the bad guy's body works, because it's very similar to mine. So if I can use that to my advantage, it's fucking crazy.
Yeah. And then, so when we when you say something in a short class format, like, your eyes don't actually see the way you think they do, like, how much time are we gonna spend on that
Correct.
to convey the message that we need to teach to the science, not to the perception or not to the
Correct.
preconceived notion and everything? And that's one of the challenges is, like, how do you spend that time wisely that you're in the classroom? And this is one of the values of especially your YouTube videos, where you go a lot more into the science. So somebody who is curious, who has taken a class and heard you say something like that, can sit down and then you get a chance to expose them to a more deeper understanding of
Yeah.
why those things are true. I think, by the way, you should be doing some of those videos in Spanish too, maybe all of them. Um,
Dude, I am motivated by the weird. I need to stop relying on motivation.
yeah, that's a terrible,
Oh my god.
terrible tool.
And I need to focus more on discipline. I just yelled at my kids
Kind of.
kind of, because it's this idea of like I'm just not motivated enough. Like I wish you would know how fucking little motivation I have to just be alive,
Mhm,
but focus more on the discipline. Uh, and my problem is I rely more on the motivation than the discipline of just doing it.
mhm.
And also, when you only get 60 fucking viewers, it's just like, the fuck am I doing? Like, I need to be making money some other fucking way. Because I genuinely do want to do this, and maybe some teaching full time. Like this content creation is, I've always liked that. Like I've always enjoyed it. But I rely on motivation, and that's such a fucking killer, dude.
If I
That's
was
such a
relying on
killer.
motivation to participate in Guns for Everyone, I wouldn't
You
participate.
wouldn't? Yeah, for sure. I wouldn't fucking participate.
I what I rely on a lot is fear of letting people down.
Which can be bad.
That can be bad, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, and I've had to learn how to, like, channel that. So when somebody complains, I have to listen, like, "Is this a problem I need to solve?"
This
Nah,
is
I'm gonna I'm
Isaac is saying I complain to him a lot.
no, 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 I'm talking about, like, a student, yeah. I always listen to your complaining. I don't always do what you want, but I always listen 'cause I'm like, "Now he probably knows more than I do. I should just listen for a little bit." But, like, if a person comes to the class and they're complaining, I have to turn off the part of my brain that says, "Don't let this person down." I'm like, "No, I'm gonna have to let that person down because
Yeah.
if I focus on that person, I'm gonna let a bunch of other people down." So,
It's tough, dude.
but when it comes to, like yesterday when you texted me and you're like, "Can you show up for this class?" My initial thought was, "Oh god, what excuses do I have? Do I have an excuse?"
And I was fully ready to accept any of them because it was so last minute.
But I'm like, "No, I like, that's bullshit. I have to look at this from the point of view of, like, what's my obligation here? What's the
Yeah.
discipline? How do we keep consistency, and all this stuff, and if I can do it, then I should do it." And,
And I'll
but
tell
there
you
was
what,
no motivation. There was 0
correct,
motivation
correct.
yesterday.
And I'll tell you what, um, for the last year, I've been having a really shitty time, and there's been times like, what can I do for you?"
Mhm,
And I'm like, I don't know what the fuck you could do." Like, yesterday was this fucking wait.
mhm.
So I really appreciate it in front of everybody, and we're gonna be, um, what's the politically correct word? We can say gay, right? Like, but not like,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
as long as you mean it.
It's like, for reals, dude, like, yesterday's
Yeah,
like, like, because I knew it was, like, last minute.
yeah,
Like, I need to let him know, water heater's down, vertigo.
yeah.
I
What el
I need
what else can I tell tell 'em?
I yeah. Oh, like, I was warming up water to
Yeah,
go fucking take a sponge bath. And if you've ever taken a sponge bath, it's not the super awesomest thing to do. So I'm like, fuck, man, I got all these things to get done, and I'm
yeah,
about to have a fucking stroke. And I was not gonna text you, but shit just kept piling up. I was like,
yeah.
I need to
Well,
at least ask.
that's where I think that real discipline is the idea of, like, ask for what you need and be available for people if you can,
Yeah.
you know, because there's no motivation. Like, I'm sure you had no motivation to, like, put yourself out there and ask for something, you
Fuck
know?
no.
And I had no motivation to wrap up my day early and go drive for hour and 45 minutes,
Both
back
ways.
both ways. And but at the same time, is like, uh, we if we rely on our feelings to do most of the things that we need to do, we probably aren't gonna do a lot of the things we should do.
Yeah.
Feelings, I think, have a place in that. um like, we have to listen to ourselves. We have to, like, be open to ourselves and understand what it is I'm really feeling right now. But at the same time, we have to be able to accomplish things when our feelings are telling us can't do that, shouldn't do that. You know, um, but I think that discipline that you have modeled for 15 years, like, has an effect. You know,
Yeah.
um, and and the science backs this up, by the way. The science backs up that motivation is a terrible, resource for accomplishment.
Horrendous, dude.
It's really good at getting you started on something, and it's absolutely horrible at carrying it through.
Yeah.
Um, and so you can use it as a tool, you can use it as leverage, but it's a double-edged sword. So,
Yeah.
and that
No, but I've thought about kind of to that degree, like, how many people do we have on here? It's not a ton,
Mhm,
but I do think about, like, oh shit, Project 1868 or Joseph. I can rely on that comment,
mhm,
and they're just like, yeah, but it's not 39, and it's only just one,
yeah,
and that's a soul sucker. And there was this rude awakening for me. I was like, yeah, but that motherfucker makes sure that they show up all the fucking time.
yeah.
The fuck you telling that one human that shows up for you all the fucking time that you ain't shit? You are something, Joseph. Project
He's a real
6.
one.
He's for sure, and there's other people on here that it just Sheps, hopefully we see you more and more.
Yeah.
But like fucking this dude is he's the only motherfucker commenting.
Yeah. But,
Um,
like, for me, the reason for doing the podcast is to sharpen myself.
Correct.
Like, if we were here for the viewers, dude, we would have been here. We would have quit this like 10 years ago. But I you know that Barrett and Derek don't get a lot of
And they
viewers.
have all the fucking resources in the fucking world, dude.
They're so they're so solid. Like, they're two of the smartest people, I think,
Yeah. In the gun
in the
world.
self-defense
Yeah.
instructing
Yeah.
world. And and I have to think that they probably have the same motivation for doing it, which is to
Correct.
stay sharp. Because we were doing a lot more classes. I was doing a lot more classes, and I've, like, slammed on the brakes. I do way less classes right now, because I don't have a classroom, and because the new requirements required us to kinda shift the way we conduct the
Correct.
classes. And now I go 2 weeks or 3 weeks between classes, and I show up and I'm like, "I have no idea what I'm doing." Taking a 2-week break from teaching, like, destroys my focus.
Taking a day off for me, 'cause
Mhm,
I used to be Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday, sometimes twice, each one of those days, especially on the weekend. And then when the market just fucking crashed on guns,
mhm,
I was finding myself taking a Sunday off and then showing up, just doing 2 instead of 3 days.
mhm.
Was like I came back on Wednesdays, I was like, "I don't even know what the fuck I'm supposed to say, like,
Yeah.
who's the instructor?"
So maybe that's actually more about context switching than it is about the time off. Because you get into a groove, your brain starts to establish a pattern of stimulus response,
Yeah,
and you disrupt that, and it throws off the whole rhythm.
yeah,
So, um, because I noticed that, like, it's not like I know any less 2 weeks, in a 2-week gap. I didn't forget anything. I didn't, um but when my brain is telling me that you should be doing this thing and you're not, and then I come back to it without having done it recently,
correct,
that context switching is, and that goes back to the science of understanding how context dictates skill, how it dictates understanding,
correct.
all of that stuff. So, um, and this kind of, like, also lends itself to people understanding what training really means for self-defense. Like you said, going back to the gun is like the easy part. The hard part is committing your brain to a process of learning over time
Yeah.
and not treating training and education as a single event. Um,
Well,
you
I've been trying to figure out how to relay this more, and I've been trying to figure out sports more because 'cause I'm not a hu I like sports. I used to like it more when I was younger than I do now. I definitely enjoy playing it more than I like watching it, so I'm not a big sports buff. I don't I don't I don't have a team-ish, and I think sports is the best way we can you like baseball, I think baseball
Mhm.
is kinda your game. Like, how many athletes, like, fucking human specimens have you not seen come through in the baseball world? Be like, "Fucker sucks." They can bomb, when I say bomb, I mean, like, actually launch the ball 400 yards.
Mhm.
Like, they're actually strong and but they suck. They don't know how to process information. They suck at reading the curves or the pitcher because they don't study the game.
Mhm.
But they're athletes. My I guess the biggest example we have here in Colorado is Tim Tebow. I don't think he sucked at throwing the ball. He just sucked overall as a quarterback at reading the defense and getting the ball to the player and all that stuff. It's you have dweebs, the Mannings, right? Fucking dweebs.
Mhm.
They're not very athletic. They're not very fast, but those motherfuckers were geniuses on reading the defense and how to get the ball to the receiver because they process the information.
Tony
Can
Gwynn
who's
Tony
that?
Gwynn's a good example. He played for the Padres for a long time, and as he got to about the middle of his career, his athleticism declined rapidly, I mean,
Uh-huh.
he was fat and he had bad knees.
Yeah.
And he had consistently, until he retired, one of the best on base percentages in baseball. That dude got on base.
That's crazy, dude.
Like hardly ever struck out. His job was to get on first base, and he was better at it than anybody.
That's
But
crazy.
he wasn't a phenomenal athlete. He just understood the problem, and he understood how to solve the problem.
Stimulus response,
Stimulus
information
response. Oh, and by the way,
processing.
he still failed more than half the time.
Yeah, that's baseball, though.
That's baseball.
That's baseball. That's probably the only sport where you can fail 70% of the time and make it to the fucking or to the Hall
To
of
Hall of
Fame.
Fame, yeah.
Crazy.
But yeah, it's a good example. It's like you get really specialized in one thing, and as a fielder, he wasn't exactly the most useful person on the field, but he was more valuable as somebody who could get on base than he was as like a phenomenal first baseman.
Yeah,
And so, and like it was that thing where like you put him in the right context, and he is the best. But
correct.
you shift the context a little bit,
He sucks
and
balls.
he's not going to be the best.
Yeah,
Going back to your example of the chess players and putting pieces on the board in a way that doesn't make sense, and all of a sudden they're not Rain Man anymore. They're no better than anybody else is at the
correct.
task of identifying where all the pieces are, or remembering where all the pieces are. So, um, the when we talk about the context and training for the right context, and we talk about the range having limitations and the target having, the target is a rehearsal because the target doesn't really change. On the range, the target doesn't change. There's just no feasible way of creating differing targets for a class. But in your own personal training, let's just say in your own personal practice, this is something I've been thinking about lately. Would it be helpful to change the target so it's not so rehearsed? Would it be helpful to put a T-shirt over like an IDPA style piece of cardboard? So when I'm doing my balance of speed and precision, I'm not looking at that light gray colored square or rectangle. I'm looking at something different. Can I still apply the skill even when the target looks different than what I have practiced on? Have you ever considered that, thought about that, tried that, any of that stuff?
I've considered it, but I don't.
Not applying it in a class, but if just considering the concept of practicing in a way that's not feasible in a class, but might be feasible for a single person.
No, not in that context. I've thought about it for classes, but not for myself individually. Um, but I have thought about it, and I've never been convinced that it's enough of a difference to
make a difference.
to really apply it.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean it can't be. It's just from a psychological perspective, it's still fake. It's
Mm-hmm.
still at some point still just a target with the shirt on.
Mm-hmm.
Even those, I think they're genius fucking targets. The 3D ones that you used to do, and you put balloons up and all
Oh
that
yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
They're genius, but like in the long run, are they? At some point, your brain starts to acknowledge that it's just a fucking piece of cardboard, and it's just a balloon, and it doesn't change much. Instead of encouraging humans to visualize what the bad guy is going to be and when they stop, and it's all pretend. I have to visualize the bad guy stopping.
Mm-hmm.
Because whether it's a balloon or whether it's a t-shirt, whether it's whatever, it's still, I think the brain still at some point just, it's still fake. It's still make
So
believe. It's still
I went to one of Robert Butler's classes several
uh,
years ago, just to
if you
take
haven't gone to
pictures.
a class with him, he does pretty good work.
Yeah.
Um,
And now, by the way, he has closed his gun store and he has reopened his gun store as a simulated driving school, or
yeah,
not school, but simulated driving, like
like a
racetrack.
lounge, like a
Yeah.
lounge. People who
Yeah.
just want to sim race. It's
Yeah.
crazy how big that
I had no
industry
idea
is.
it was even a thing. So, um, So I went to one class where I observed him teaching. I was taking pictures for him, and then I went to and took a class with him, a low light class with him. And in both of those classes, he busted out the wife beaters and put them on the targets.
Yeah.
And one of the things that became immediately apparent when you did something like that was it's much harder for your brain um, to visualize where your shots are actually going.
Yeah.
So in the paper, you can't help but see the impact of your round and then maybe try to make a subtle adjustment, especially if you're not shooting super fast.
Yeah.
Um, but with the t-shirt, you can't do that. And I've always kind of thought about that, like, is there value
Maybe because
in the
less
way that
performance.
yeah, because
Because
after you're done shooting, then you go up and look at your target, and all you got to do is just take your hand, spread it out, and place it over the high center chest, and
yeah,
now you have a target area that you can evaluate after you've shot.
yeah,
Because one of the pitfalls, one of the ways that you can sort of let your training slip in the intuitive defensive shooting is that you start focusing more on speed than you are on precision
precision.
because you're just not being disciplined about it,
Correct.
and you get overwhelmed. You can get overwhelmed with all the information, and you can kind of let things slip. Um, so I'm not saying it's the right thing to do, but it struck me as a way of testing context switching to
Yeah,
say, okay, the target always looks like this, but what if it doesn't look like this?
correct.
Am I still able to apply the skill? Um,
We
so
we talk we talk about it a little bit, right? Because defensive accuracy is just yes or no.
mhm.
Don't worry so much about getting it perfect, but it does. It's really difficult for humans to not look at their shots and want to be super focused on their shots, especially the humans who want to show everybody else how awesome their grouping is.
Yeah,
I always make it a point to make fun of the people who, because I see them right away, they're focused on grouping because they think that's a test, and then you tell them you suck, your groups are too tight. That's not the virtual reality. It's not a range; it's a racing simulator.
yeah, racing simulator.
Racing simulator. So you pretend to drive cars and shit like that. So I don't think in Colorado there's an instructor who has simulated ranges that I would feel comfortable sending you to them to learn, because most instructors who do simulated stuff are actually, they don't teach the correct shit. They don't, they what to focus on and all that shit. But yeah, his is KENAZ, KNAZ, KNAZ,
Yeah, it's
racing.
located out near kind of between Pueblo and Pueblo West on Highway 50, and
Yeah,
I drive down there a lot, and I just saw it the other day, and I'm like, "Oh, I need to go check that out because that looks like fun."
yeah,
Um, I feel bad, I didn't, like, spend much money in his shop when it was there, but that's because I don't really buy much these days. Like,
correct.
I've really put the brakes on a lot of my gun purchase spending, because I kinda realized, like, I'm not actually as into guns as I thought I was. Um,
It's
like,
crazy.
I'm into guns. I am into guns, but
Correct,
I am not anywhere near what I thought I was, like 10 years ago. So,
correct.
um, but I'm gonna give it a try. I'm gonna take some t-shirts down to my range next time I'm down at
Yeah,
my parents' place, and I'm just gonna play with it a little bit and
correct,
see, after learning all the things I've learned over the last 5 years, and apply that and just try to pay attention to what's happening in that. Um, the the danger is that you try to start choreographing more than you should,
correct.
and then you're creating bad habits rather than trying to improve on the right things. But um, yeah, I learned.
There's got to be a positive to it though, to not have a quote unquote target.
Yeah,
Um,
but going back to the question of does it matter enough to matter?
correct,
Is it different enough to matter? The way that the brain tends to focus the vision in that self defense scenario,
correct,
um, that the brain is looking for probably more behavioral things to tell us what's wrong, like what's working and not working, not bullet holes. Like, our brain
Yeah,
is probably not going to perceive those anyway, even if they were present. Um,
correct.
what we care about is the behavior, and the T-shirt
Right.
is not gonna tell you any behavior.
Yeah, because the goal is stop the attack,
Right,
and that's probably what the brain is focused on more than anything.
right. And so if we're applying the
Yeah,
skill on paper of good extension, good grip, good trigger press, good kinesthetic alignment of the gun, the application of the skill gets pretty consistent.
yeah,
Not 100% consistent, because generally we're always trying to push the limits of our ability in order to test it. How efficient can I be with my shooting? Um, but in the moment, we see that even untrained shooters achieve a certain level of accuracy that we
correct,
probably wouldn't have expected.
correct.
So,
It's
um,
crazy how your body kind of already knows what the fuck to do.
yeah,
It's bonkers. Like if you just and all and that's probably what we need to encourage more is like your body already knows what the fuck to do. You don't know that it already knows what the fuck to do. We're at the range just to help you connect the dots a little bit more to give it
mhm,
even more of an advantage.
yeah.
It's bonkers, dude.
This could be a completely fabricated connection in my head, but what I just thought of when I was a teenager, I used to do a lot of paintball, and, inevitably, young males with guns are gonna start shooting each other when they're not supposed to be shooting each other. Like,
Yeah,
so there was always these situations where we're not playing, but suddenly somebody gets shot, and then all hell breaks loose,
yeah,
and, it was nighttime, and I was picking up paintballs off the ground because I had run out, and we weren't playing anymore. We were pretty much done. I had my gun in my hand, but it was empty. I didn't have any rounds. And I saw a paintball on the ground, and I bent down and picked it up. And my buddy decided this would be a good time to shoot me in the back of the head from like 3 feet away,
with the
which
paintball.
with a paintball, which pissed me off.
Yeah,
Like,
and it's hard to piss you off, dude.
this was not a game
Yeah,
anymore. Like, I wanted blood, and I had that paintball in my hand when he did it, and so I dropped it into the gun, and I turned around to shoot him, and he was already running away, and he's running down the street because we're in a neighborhood, right? So, like, we're just firing paintballs at each other in a neighborhood. He's running down the street, and I took that gun in the dark, and so I can just see him in the street light, and I
yeah,
extended the gun out while running, and I shot him in the back of the head from about, I would say I was about 10 yards away from
yeah.
him. And when I shot, I figured I had missed, but then he fell down. Like, he got back up, and I was like, "Did I get you?" He showed me. I got him right in the back of the head, at a full sprint. And
Like,
I was
good,
like,
bitch.
that could have been luck. It may not have been luck. I don't know, but that's the first thing I thought of. Like,
Yeah,
your your brain understands, through the process of growing up and using your body in the world, how to accomplish tasks. What often happens is our cognitive brain gets in the way of that.
correct.
So, what
Almost
was
always cognitive. Almost always the fucking cognitive gets in the way.
yeah.
Um,
What did Joseph say?
he said, "No one wants to die, so self-defense comes natural." And yeah, a lot of the stuff is we have the science. I wish more people would look at the science. It is a myth that you fight like you train. That's not a thing.
Maybe we should say it's a myth that you defend like you train.
Fair, fair. Fair, because there's plenty of evidence, and we have videos of this, of cops being interrogated after they get into a shooting and, like, what happened, and not just shootings, but just any big time, when AI not AI, internal affairs, IA, the other way around, gets involved, and there's plenty of videos is like, "Is your report correct?" They're like, "Yeah." I was like, "Well, let's watch the video," and they watch the video, like, "Is your report correct?" No, not after watching the video.
Yeah.
It's, and it was sloppy, like, the way they defended themselves was kinda sloppy because the problem was no longer presented to them the way it was presented to them in training. So in training, it was flawless. This is the way I did in training, and that's probably what they had in their brain. Responded as trained, um, and it's one of those things like your instincts very underappreciated. Your instincts, like I come back to this all the time. I'm not a religious person. I'm not, but it does kind of piss me off for Jesus. Like I'm mad for Jesus, whether Jesus is real or not, whoever your Jesus is, even if it's just Darwin, whatever the fuck you believe in. I get mad for whatever has us here, even if it's a simulation, for you to believe that you're better than that person,
Yeah.
that being. Like, oh no, I know how to unlearn everything that was hard coded into my DNA. I can do better than that. Like, no, the fuck you can't.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, to your point, it's just that the cognitive gets in the way, and we don't allow the limbic system to just do what it does. We get in our way, and we do some fucking stupid shit.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think self defense comes natural to a degree. I think it does require some assistance because we're using tools that are not natural,
Right.
and that's why it needs the assistance because we're using tools that are not. We've
They're not natural, but thanks to 500 years of technology, they are relatively intuitive.
intuitive. Yep.
Like a microscope is not intuitive.
Yeah.
It takes way more training to learn how to use a microscope than it does to use out a gun, like
For
to use a firearm.
for some people, a QR code.
Yeah. um, so like even a car is less intuitive, way less intuitive
Correct.
than a firearm is.
Correct.
The benefit of the car is that you use it all the time,
Correct.
and so you become intimately familiar with it
Correct.
for the things that you need it for. Like you may not have any idea how it actually works, but you know how to make it do the thing you want it to do.
Correct.
So this goes back to that Captain Sully example of, because I've driven the car enough times and I've become familiar with when I want it to do something, my body knows how to make it to do that thing.
Yeah.
In many contexts where all that's required of me to make the car avoid an accident is to do the things I always do with the car: apply a brake, apply gas, apply steering wheel, use mirrors, because that's fundamentally what we're doing when we're trying to avoid an accident.
Correct.
Where the complication comes in with a car is when you have to do something that you don't know how to do with the car,
Correct.
like driving on snow. We don't get a lot of practice losing control and regaining control in snow. That's what makes
Correct.
it more dangerous. One of the things that I learned as a teenager around driving was take the car when it snows, take it out to a parking lot and just goof around.
Yeah.
Like just go, like don't hit anything, but do whatever you want. But what you're doing there is learning what the car does in these conditions and then
Yeah.
how to try to control it. And that has served me pretty well. It's not that I've never had an accident in the snow, but I've been able to recover from losing control in some situations.
There's one thing, and sorry to cut you off, but
Yeah,
there's one thing in cars that assist us because of what's hard coded into our DNA, and that is the brake system. It has ABS. Because when we're about to crash, I don't give a fuck who you are. Your instinct is slam on the fucking thing that makes the car stop.
right.
And a lot of times you experience the fucking
Yeah,
the pushback because they had to learn like these motherfuckers ain't gonna pump on the
yeah, because
brakes.
they try to teach you how to pump your brakes, and like so few people actually do that
Like,
or
It's
knew,
it's it's
like were
almost
able to
impossible.
execute that skill.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially as the danger became more real.
Yeah.
So like you're coming down a big hill and you need to stop and you start to skid and you're like, "Oh yeah, pump the brakes." But somebody slams on their brakes in front of you and you start to skid, you're you're probably much less likely to pump
Correct.
the brakes.
Correct.
And I've experienced that myself, uh, where
More of an oh shit moment,
when that
less
cognitive
anticipated.
thing
Yeah,
can engage, you can do it. But when that cognitive thing can't engage, you
correct,
cannot do it.
correct, correct.
So,
There's a few.
what did
Go ahead.
gun websites say?
Um, Under stress, you will rise to your best. Day of training, the endorphins will pump to your muscles, give you super speed, quick reflexes, all that stuff. So, yeah, we've talked about this before, but I wish more people would understand that the neoepinephrine actually releases the chemicals, the proteins and the amino acids, the proteins attached to your organs, and actually help you perform. So a lot of people are like, I want to learn how to work under stress. It's like, yeah, I wish you would understand that stress actually makes you perform better. Perform under in parentheses, but it helps you better. I do
Yeah.
want to answer Joseph's other stuff. How many rounds for the rifle? I think it's 300-ish rounds for the rifle class. And then how many adult students actually want to be students in Colorado and other states with similar laws?
I think that generally speaking, the people who want to rise to higher levels follows a curve across all domains. It's about 3 to 5%.
Yeah.
3 to 5% of the people in the gun community take training seriously. And when I
Correct.
say training seriously, more than what is required of them.
Correct.
Um, and that's the Pareto principle just applied
Yeah.
for allocation of resources, time, and attention, and all that stuff. So, 3 to 5%, pretty common. I think that if you were talking about people who take it YouTube serious, you're probably talking even less, like 1% maybe. Um, and and that tracks in our classes for sure.
Correct.
When we get people in our classes, it's about 1% of students who have come to the class with a modern background in paying attention to what's going on in the gun world.
Correct.
Most everybody else, if they have any knowledge about the gun world, it's what they grew up with, or zero at all. So,
Yeah. It's pretty
uh,
low. Pretty low.
and there's nothing that you will ever be able to do to change that.
Yeah.
That is just the way it is. So, um, the what was I going to say? Oh, to what gun websites was saying. There's this idea that like we need to be ninjas with the skills on the range.
You've got this. I need to go hide really
Oh,
quick.
okay.
You got it.
You're gonna go pass out. So there's this idea that you kind of need to be like a ninja on the range, and whatever the instructor's asking you to do, you've got to do it as fast as John Wick does it. So in our classes, when we tell you to move as you present the gun, there's like this explosive energy to move to the left or the right, and then punch the gun out, and then start shooting. And it's not what we're asking you to do. We're just asking you to execute the skill. We're asking you to be able to present the gun and move at the same time so that when your gun is at the presentation, your feet are now planted and ready to shoot. Um, Once that skill is present and those stimulus response patterns are present, then in the moment when that system is called upon by the in that limbic response, now the body is likely to be able to speed that whole process up. Um, we don't. What we're really trying to avoid with that is we're trying to avoid inducing errors. We're trying to avoid you stepping then presenting, or presenting then stepping, or presenting and then stepping again, or something like that, uh, or losing control of the gun because I'm asking you to do something with your feet and now you can't chew gum and walk at the same time. So we need to do this without errors. That's where the real learning is happening. That's where the correct neural pathways are being built. And then to what gun website said, at that point, our best day of training would be no errors, and then executing that skill as quickly as we possibly can in that defensive scenario. So for those of you who may or may not be adding something to the chat right now, I can't see the chat. So we have to wait for Edgar to get his headphones back on again. But Did you have to go pet the dog?
Yeah, I had to go pee.
Oh, pet the other dog.
Pet the
So
other dog.
So yeah, what I was kind of finishing my thought with is the idea that in the training class, we're not really trying to accomplish speed with all of these skills. We're first trying to lay down competency with the skills, and then let the speed come with the competency. But what we see a lot of students do is forcing the speed, and not just the shooting speed. We're talking all the physical skills we're asking you to do: the movement,
Mhm.
the presentation of the gun,
Yeah.
all of that stuff. And so when we talk about you rising above your level of training, or rising beyond what you thought you could do, if those primary skills are built correctly, then what we would likely see is that you'll do those skills, but you'll do them more proficient, more quickly, more efficiently when the body calls upon them and applies that
Yeah.
sympathetic nervous response.
Yeah, because
So,
your brain does need some sort of repetition. So again, we've talked about this before. We call it the WET. It's a weird fucking acronym, the Warrior Expert Theory. But this is true in everything. Is if you grow up poor, you start to learn how to fix things around your house, and like next time my fridge goes out, I know how to fix it because I fixed it once. So I already know how to fix it. But the very first time, like it felt like I was never gonna fix the fucking fridge. Like we are gonna have to buy a fucking new fridge.
mhm.
Um, Self defense is no different. Like it's your body does know what to do, but now it needs to interact with a device that it may not know how to use 100%. So all we're trying to do at the range is work on that stimulus response happens. It's basic fucking coding. If this happens, you do this. That way you're not having to improvise it, and you have to process less information because your brain's like, "Oh shit, we've been here before."
Mhm.
And this is true for everything. Both good and bad. Both good and bad.
Yeah, trauma response.
Yeah, that's all essentially all it is just
Mhm.
trauma response. We don't call it trauma because it's a positive thing.
Mhm.
But that's all it fucking is a response to a previous experience, whether it be fabricated or not. Um, like it is a response to a previous action.
Yeah.
Um,
Like, the trauma response is often like, you did what was expedient in the moment to survive, but it long term, that expedient thing is not positive, it's negative.
mhm,
But when that stimulus comes back, your brain goes back into the same response that worked before.
correct,
But the problem is it doesn't work over time. And so that's a negative stimulus response pattern,
correct,
is like something like a trauma response. So to fix that, you have to go back and reformat the response to that same stimulus,
correct.
which is hard to do
It's
because
difficult.
you have to go back and relive that moment and
Correct,
reformulate a new response to it,
correct,
which is terrifying and painful and disruptive, which is why most people don't do it.
correct. And a lot
But
of times self-prophesizing too, like that's the shitty part
mhm.
is yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
was gonna add more to it, but there's nothing more to add.
Yeah, I'm learning more about this, trauma repair, and fundamentally,
An
the
amygdala
goal.
hijack
What's that?
or like amygdala hijack? Oh,
I don't know that phrase.
so amygdala hijack happens a lot, and let me pull it up that way so I can I'm having a hard time focusing.
Yeah. You're doing a fantastic job, but I can tell. Um, but yeah, like, the process of visualizing the traumatic event to the point where you now can recall it, and then doing talk therapy on changing the response.
So an amygdala hijack, and this is AI, so take it for whatever the fuck it's
Mhm.
worth. I don't believe AI 100%, but go to the other places for those of you guys that are serious about it. But learning about it. Amygdala hijack is when your brain's emotional center, the amygdala, takes over, triggering an intense, disproportionate fight or flight response, fear, anger, to a perceived threat, shutting down rational thought, prefrontal frontal cortex for immediate action, often leading to impulsive behaviors you regret later, like yelling or freezing, even non life threatening situations like traffic or disagreements.
Yeah. So the amygdala hijack is the negative stimulus response pattern,
Correct.
because your amygdala was necessary to save you in that traumatic moment.
Yeah.
But now that's the only way you know how to respond to that stimulus.
Correct.
So repairing that is putting it back in context. So reliving the moment through describing it in as much detail as you can. So we're trying to get all of that context back, trying to get the context. We need the context. Otherwise, the solution is not going to work. So reliving the trauma through talking about it and being detailed. And then once you can do that, then formulating new responses. But the key here, the whole point of this is that without the context, the skill is useless.
Correct.
So you can talk to a person who's been through a traumatic incident and be like, you don't need that response anymore. You can tell them all you want. It won't work. They must put that thing back into the context.
Right.
And that context has to be as realistic as possible. Otherwise, it doesn't work. So more evidence of how important context is for skill development.
Correct. It's crazy, dude.
Yeah. So
it's crazy.
As I'm learning this, I'm like, oh, I should do this. I'm like, but my brain is so shut down, I can't remember traumas. So
I trying to ignore it all.
I minimize them in my head. I'm like, yeah, that was no big deal.
No big deal. No big deal. No big.
So,
that's hilarious.
But
and I'm the opposite. Everything's a huge fucking deal. Everything is.
Somebody didn't give you a stick of gum when you asked for it, and you're like,
this motherfucker. He fucking hates me. Told you, world's gonna end.
All right, well, let's cut you a break and let you go so you can lay down and spin on the bed instead of sitting up and spinning in the chair.
Shit.
Well, thank you guys for participating. Really appreciate it. We did no self-promotion for the websites or classes, no, we did a little bit. But yeah, we got classes coming up, and including the full defensive shooting class for rifle and for pistol, March 14th and 15th in Colorado Springs. So
yeah.
All right.
Sweet. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for bearing with this whole shenanigans. Hey, I forgot how to set up a fucking restream. So crazy.
All right. Peace.
All right, motherfuckers. Wash your ass. I got yelled at for not saying wash your ass. Somebody's like, what? No wash your ass anymore? So wash your ass, motherfuckers.
Like, I gave up on that part.